Alright, today we're going to talk about different children's books I can use in my classroom to talk about different problems in the classroom. The first one I'm going to talk about is Peppermint by Dorothy Grider. So in this book, little kitten, they have three little kittens that are beautiful, and then one that is kind of plain, and all of them are adopted but the white kitten. But in the end, a little girl is crying because she doesn't have a kitten, so he ends up giving her that kitten to adopt. And so I really liked the part in the book, as it shows in the picture, of the little girl when she has this kitten in her arms, just seeing the happiness in her face. Another one that I would use is It Takes a Village by Jane Conan Fletcher. So this is about an African family that, as they're going to the market, the little girl is taking care of her younger brother, and the younger brother actually gets lost, and he keeps wandering throughout the market, and all the African families take care of him and protect him, and it just proves that it takes a village to raise a family, and the mother wasn't worried at all because she knew that the whole community would wrap around it. And in this picture, it just shows the young girl going around saying thank you to all the people that helped her brother, and I just thought that was an awesome part of the book because it just shows the politeness of the culture and the fact that they can always rely on someone. The next book is A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. So this is about a grandmother, mother, and little girl that had their house burnt down, and so they're trying to raise money in order to get a chair. Their community wraps around them and tries to provide for a lot of different items, but they don't have like a comfy chair to sit in at night, and so all of them pull in the extra change that they get in order to get a chair, and in the end they actually do get that, and they were able to work for it, and so it was really special for them to all be able to sit down and have that. And in this picture, which is my favorite part, I have the whole community bringing stuff to help them, which just shows how important community is in a people's life. The next book I have is Love Can Build a Bridge by Naomi Judd, and this is actually a song, so I have a link here on this picture to the song. This book is pretty much just telling, saying that to build a bridge you need love and to help people out whenever you can. And so I picked the picture of the child helping the other child with schoolwork because I just think that's so cool to see another child helping another, because it's not only benefiting the child that is getting the tutoring, but it's also benefiting the person that's teaching. And so just showing that love and connection of people to build those bridges. The next book I have is Unlovable by Dan Yaccario. And this one is about this little dog that everywhere it goes, everyone says that he's unlovable or not good enough, and the dog is always sad. And finally there's a dog that moves in as a neighbor, and he hopes that this dog would be willing to be his friend as well. So he lies and says that he's a golden retriever, but in the end realizes he's exactly like him and that he can really be himself and that he is loved. And so I have, in my favorite part, the picture of them meeting, and it just shows the shock and just shows that moment where they can finally see that someone is like them. Next book is I Am Jackie Robinson by Brad Meltzer. This book is about Jackie Robinson and his path to becoming a baseball player, and it just shows the struggles of him growing up, how he was poor and how he had lots of different fights, and how he just took all that and someone believed in him and it was able to make him famous. And so I picked the picture of the man that tried to get him back on track after he was throwing mud at this car, which I think really turned his life for the better. And even though it's not him actually getting the Major League Baseball, I feel this is the most important part. The next book is We Can Do It by Laura Dwight. This is about different children that have different disabilities and how even though they have these disabilities, they have many abilities and they are like us in many ways. And so I chose the picture of this autistic boy that can put on his clothes and is able to set the table, And this book just shows that, yes, they are different in some ways, but they're also the same in many ways. And so you can make this connection with the kids so that they know that, yes, they might be a little different, might need a couple of different needs, but they are also just like us. Next book I have is Mingo, Abula, and Me by Meg Medina. This book is about a grandmother and a little girl, and the grandmother comes to live with this little girl's family because she's getting older and lives far away, and the parents can't really take care of her. But the problem is that they have a different language, and so there's a barrier at the beginning that the little girl can't really figure out how to get through. And then when her mom talks about how she learned how to communicate with the new girl that had a different language, this little girl was able to tie that in with her grandmother and was able to work with her to help her learn English and her learn her grandma's language. And so this picture, which is my favorite part, is when they first start to build that connection where she realizes she can take physical objects and say their name, and then her grandmother can say it back, and they can start learning that way. And then another connection that they have is the parrot that the little girl gets for her grandma, who can then repeat both words and kind of help them learn that way. The next book I have is Love is a Family by Roma Downey. This is about a little girl that lives with their mother, and throughout the book she's really sad because she wishes she had a family, wishes she had a dad or a sibling or something like the rest of her class. And they're about to go on a family involvement night, and so she's really worried about having the small family that she has. And when she gets there, she realizes that she's not the only one and that there's many different types of families, but the thing that makes a family is love. And so I picked the picture, which is my favorite part, at the very end where it shows her when her mother is really old and how she promises that they will always be together and how she will always care for her and love her because that's what makes their family. Finally, I have You Should Meet Jesse Owens by Lori Kalkoven. This is a book about Jesse Owens and how he grew up. He was very poor and didn't have a whole lot, but he always loved to run. And so he had a coach that actually saw this and wanted to help him and invested time in him. And so he worked with him, made him really good, and he ended up going to college, which he was the first one of his family, and set so many different records that when he tried out for the Olympic Games, he immediately made it. And he actually won 4 gold medals at the Olympics, which was unheard of for a black at that time. And so there were many that were excited for him, but also several that weren't very happy about the fact that he was given this choice. But I chose in the book him just playing at recess to just show how even though he ended up an Olympic gold medalist, he did start out as a child. And so this is a connection you can make for kids to let them know that they can be something great when they get older, that even the great people start out as children. And that is my story.